I do all the stuff you do, not to the point, but I drink alcohol on the weekends because of stress factors at work, which causes binge. You struggle with this at all in the past? I ate a ton after. I have. Yes, sir, I have. As a matter of fact, I want to say for like the first year that I was able to keep off the weight for the first year, although I was able to keep it off for about a good year, it wasn't in like the easiest way. So, what I mean by that is, I realized that I was doing a lot of self sabotaging behavior. Not right away. Initially, I just kind of knew it deep down. I'm like, I'm doing some things that aren't really in line with maintaining the weight loss, all this hard work. As I started to like learn more about things in general, just expanding my brain with different ideas, the concept of like self-sabotage and started to kind of really pour into my mind. And as I started to pour as that idea started to pour into my mind, every single time that I did do a behavior that I deep down knew counted as, self sabotage, it would bother me more and more and more that, hey, here I am doing this thing that I know deep down is not really helping me. The weight scale is telling me it ain't helping me. Me waking up the next morning is telling me this is not helping me. My performance at work is telling me this is not helping me, and yet I'm still doing it anyways. I don't know your exact situation. I'll just share a little bit of my situation, a little bit of what was leading me to self sabotage myself. I say that because I don't live on an island, and so a lot of the self sabotaging behaviors would appear whenever I'd be like around other people. But despite the fact that they happened usually around other people, I'm going to take all of this as me. I'm going to pin it all on me. As I've been finding out that the more I blame myself for things, not in some bad way, not in some malicious way, just in a taking responsibility kind of a way, the more that I do that, the more that I seem to progress forward. And the more I offload it, the more I seem to kind of go back to old ways. And because that's working for me, I'm going to go ahead and execute that on this video and share some of what I think was happening. My gosh, I'm trying to think about this right now, but I don't think I've had alcohol in a good minute now, actually. Right now, it's what? June. I don't think I've had alcohol since like maybe, wow. Like, I don't think maybe it's going almost a year. It hasn't been a year, going on almost a year. I don't know where you're at, but for me, I was never quite hooked on alcohol. So like, there's people. This might be you, and if you are, no judgment. But there's some people that are like hooked on it. Like, yo, like this is like I can't help it, right? And then I'm sure you know that there's people that can drink it, but they don't ever seem to get hooked on it. Well, that was more me. However, it's funny how I'm saying that. Although I was never officially hooked on it, I would find my way into environment where that was like the norm, and then I would have a hard time saying no to it. So at that point, am I hooked on it? Am I not hooked on it? You know what I mean? That this is a little gray area. So, anyways, so my level of hooked was more socially speaking, and this more socially speaking hook for me was more in the form of me not wanting to say no. And when I would say no, not facing my own internal discomfort to not only saying no, but sticking to saying no, irregardless, irrespective, despite whatever tantruming, however quiet, once again, however quiet, however subtle, the tantruming may have been. And by tantruming, I'm talking more along the lines of like vibe shifting, energy shifting. So like, you'll have somebody. You might have somebody who you tell them no. And some people, when you tell them no, it's very obvious that they don't like it. It's super obvious. You're like, oh shit, they didn't like that, right? But then there's some other people where like it's not so obvious. There's just something where like something seems off, and you're like, is it me? Is it them? Like, am I tripping here? There's something off. You can't put your finger on it, but your gut's telling you. I told them no. There's something about the way that they're saying it's all good, but you just sense something is not right. At least me, right? And in me getting that sense, I would then feel weird. Like, am I in the wrong here? And then I would basically fold because I would feel like I'm making somebody else feel bad in a very quiet way without them ever saying it. Now, did other party members actually feel bad or inadequate? I have no idea. And at this point, I don't give a rat's fucking ass. I just don't give a fuck. Because at this point, I just don't. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need the alcohol. But I do remember that if me not being okay with just saying, hey, I'm good. And if somebody gets upset, not letting that kind of get into my head. And then subsequently then having the drink so that all is good in the hood, which is fucking self-sabotagingly weird as fuck now that I think about it. I would just, take the drink. And then I think, okay, it's just one drink, right? It's just one seltzer water or whatever. But then that would turn into this, into that, into this, into that. And then next thing you know, the next morning, yeah, when I be fasting, it would make the entire process way harder than it need to be. Way fucking harder. Like, so for one, okay, so it is my understanding that when you're fasting, especially once your glycogen levels deplete, ketosis, right? So ketosis kicks in, right? That's when like your body is turning your fat into fuel, into ketones and stuff. It is my understanding that ketones are produced in the liver. If I'm inaccurate on that, please let me know. I'm open to learn right now on the fly. So the thing about drinking is that for that little bit of time that you are drinking, like now your liver has to do like this other thing, which is like, hey, we got to take care of this alcohol so we don't die. I remember when I would drink and I'd be in ketosis, how tired I would feel. Because in some ways, in this part, I'm just extrapolating here. I'm not 100% sure. So if somebody knows more than me about this, please let me know. But if I'm drinking, I'm basically telling the liver, hey, all that energy from the fat that we were just like that we were just running on, and thinking all clear, you're going to have to pause that shit for now because we got to take care of this alcohol right now. I remember I would suddenly feel like extra effort is coming out of me just to just do basic things. But yet there I was, still going through it because I felt that somebody else was feeling weird and I didn't want to make them feel weird because then I feel weird because then is it me? Is it them? And it's just weird, stupid, fucking irrational shit. In my opinion, it's just got to be the most ass backwards irrational shit in the fucking world. Especially like, oh my God, it's like you'll have the people who claim to be the most highly rational doing the most irrational shit in the world. Speaking for myself, I swear to God, I'd be the one claiming I'm so rational, and yet I'd be doing the one thing I know is fucking me up. So I don't remember if I would binge eat before, during, or after having alcohol. I don't quite remember if it was binge or just me eating an extra big portion. But I do remember kind of treating that as like a mini vacation, sort of a little mini party of some sort. Let's put it that way. So I guess maybe I may have actually, quote, binge ate. I don't know. When it comes to words like these, I'm not ever sure what like any one person really means. Like somebody might have one idea as to what counts as a binge, and then like for example, I'm fasting right now. Some people tell me I have an eating disorder. Is it an eating disorder? Is fasting an eating disorder? I mean, I'm like, I don't mean to get weird here and like all like interrogative of like questioning and the way that people go about thinking and how they interpret the world and shit. But I do remember eating more than the usual. Yes, whenever I be having a few drinks. I want to say it was around the very last time that I had my last one or two drinks ever. Part of the reason I laid them off, along with some other things. Like for example, I had this habit of like eating ice cream at least once a week. For example, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with ice cream. I just at the time, about a year, what like it was like last August, I think last August or September. It was something like that. I was at a point in my fasting journey where I was pretty solid with my self mastery with food. But deep down, I felt that I could do a little bit more. Like this is something was telling me, hey, let's explore this. And this is before I even started talking about this publicly, before I even started recording any of this stuff, before the idea of even recording any of this stuff even popped into my head. I'm telling you, like August, September last year, none of this that I'm doing right now was even an idea remotely anywhere. I'm telling you, it just wasn't. I was in this self discovery thing, and still am to an extent, where I started just kind of playing around and just trying to see what different things, where do they lead to, and all this stuff. As I'm over here trying to, kind of, patch myself up and fix myself up from whatever, experiences I've had throughout my life. And I, just started doing different things, right? Bettering myself, basically. And so something just told me, hey, I think I can do something interesting here with the fasting. And this is before I even started like researching what other people do. One thing that I realized is that, well, alcohol just makes the whole thing more monumentally difficult. For me specifically, focus. Focus, 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 focus. I just find it so much more hard to attain when I have these things that are just like sending my excitement part of the brain, the dopamine, and like all of them eames, all right? What is it? Oxytocin? Well, actually, no, I don't think that one makes any sense. Is that the love hormone? I'm not sure off the top of my head right now, all right? I'm just the straight spitball right now. Like, I'd be over here trying to, like, read a book, for example, so I can expand my mind, but I could not focus on the book. I literally could not focus. So then I would play the audiobook. I figure, well, maybe I can't read because I'm too distracted right now because I keep thinking of the next itch over here, whether it be like a little bit more ice cream or it's okay, maybe I should, try this one drink or whatever it may be, right? I find myself highly distracted. But I did notice that whenever I would like abstain and be as clean as possible, right? So long fast, just water. I realized how intense my focus could get. And that in me having an intense focus, I could plow down hella work, learn like crazy. Like I'm like, what the fuck? Like it almost felt like a superpower. And to me, it still is like a superpower. But then I would break like a longer fast, and then I would have like the ice cream, and then like the treat over here, and then it's okay. Somebody invited me to have a drink. Okay, whatever. But then my state of mind would be like all in disarray. Like I would have a tough time getting back that intense focus, the very focus that led me to like most of my breakthroughs, basically. And it was around like say August or last August or September that I said, you know what? Most of my gains have come from like throwing myself out there, learning something new, getting that new idea that made me uncomfortable quickly, now, quick, one after another. So why am I not doing that more consistently? Why is it that I do that for a little bit and then I slow the fuck down? And then I kind of speed up a little bit and boom, and I slow the fuck down. Where would I be if I just kept going? And it was around that time last year that I began to double down on my efforts of working on how to hone in my focus. And with that, went away the alcohol. For me, that was one of my driving focuses. One of my driving motivators is I want the focus because I know how much this is helping me right now. There are some things here that are not helping with that. They feel nice in the moment. They seem to kind of help in the moment, but then they derail me after the moment. All right, here we go. Did one of these, 1, 2, and just fucking dive, just whew. And I'm not gonna lie, it was hella tricky. It was hella tricky. Man, I've been thinking about not saying this one, but I'm gonna say it because like it is true, and maybe not you, but maybe somebody else gets to the point of this video. They're like, oh shit, that too. Yeah, that too. By the time I was able to like wean off some of the extra sugary shits and some other things that were like hella derailing my focus, such as like alcohol and ice cream, right? One of the last things that I detected was hella derailing my focus was this one other thing that I've been doing since I was a kid. It's the kind of thing that feels real nice in the moment. But goddamn, I found out how much of a distractor it is. And goddamn, I apologize if you feel weird after this. It's not the intention, but I think some of you might benefit if you don't do this one thing, and it's called the old jerky jerk. All right, I don't know how to tell you this right now. This is a bad, in my opinion, it is a bad habit that I picked up since I was like, what, motherfucking 10 years old, okay? I'm gonna say this. In the same way that I became slowly self-aware that I was self-sabotaging myself by not ever really saying no and meaning no whenever somebody would offer me alcohol, and then getting all weird about who's really making who feel bad and all this bullshit. I slowly over time realized that those few times that I just wouldn't quote touch myself, I don't know how to put this, right? I would experience an enhanced sense of focus on whatever the hell I would put my focus on. And when I would go back to, fiddling the flute, my sense of focus would be fucking shot. It would be shot. You can kind of think of it in the sense of, like, in the heat of the moment, I'd be fine. For an hour or two after the grand slam, I'd be okay, right? But it's in the maybe few hours after when all of a sudden the withdrawal, the itch to do it again, it's that fucking itch to do it again. That thought of, hey, just have it again. It's just, who's watching? It's just you over here, right? That constant nag to do it again would just fuck up all of my focus. Bad. Like I literally, I'm telling you, I'd be like on the same page of whatever I was learning or doing. I'd be just right there, and I could not fucking focus for shit. And it's one of the most frustrating feelings too. 1 second, just be knocking out whatever you got to do, right? And then the next, you're just hella, just like not giving a fuck, just distracted. I found that frustrating enough that I said, you know what? I have got to stop this shit. It's not helping me. Like just about every other thing I've identified that I've already kind of weaned out. I'm like, yo, this is like the last one. This is like the last thing to wean out. And the craziest part about this one last one is that this is the kind of thing I had heard plenty of material like talk about. Like plenty of little YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, TikToks, YouTube videos. Hey, stop wanking the old fucking sledgehammer. Like blah 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 blah. It's jacking up your brain. You're short circuiting. Yada yada yada. But it's there's something about like, okay, that makes logical sense. But I only live once and called pleasure. What the fuck? Like, can I have both? And it's like, maybe not. I don't know. It depends. Have you tried a different option? I guess. And yet I would just never act on that advice until I realized, wait a minute. Okay. Now I have like a strong reason. Now I can see if I stop this. I know because I've seen it already. I can focus better. When I focus better, I elevate quicker. When I elevate quicker, I start to actually feel better from that elevation itself. So then do I really need to keep, playing with the old flute over here unnecessarily? And besides, maybe not, playing the violin unnecessarily. Maybe it leads to an actual symphony and orchestra that I just didn't see coming. No pun intended. And in this instance, when I mean by orchestra, it could just be maybe an actual relationship, or maybe not. Maybe an actual win in your professional life or something else. I don't know. Something. And goddamn, I'm not going to lie. actually pulling away from that habit is what made me self-aware of just how addicted I was to doing that. I had like it's one of the craziest things about like what do you call it? An addiction is that when you look at somebody else that's quote addicted, it looks so obvious. Oh, they're addicted to that. But then when you have an addiction of some sort, even like if it's like one of these more unconventional ones, right? Like for example, addiction to food. I don't think a lot of people think of overeating or something as an addiction to food, but I do now. I'm gonna tell you right now, I I feel I was hella addicted to food. It's just one of those things. I didn't see it that way. So then, to pull away from this thing and then feel so much like physical resistance, like just do it again. You know what I mean? Let's get that guitar playing again. It's like it was very eye opening. I am not going to claim I have gone full monk mode when it comes to that one, but I will say, what I will say is every now and then when it does happen, I feel less inclined every single time that it does happen for it to happen again. And that window of how long the habit surfaces out of nowhere keeps opening wider and wider and wider and wider. Besides the point, I say that so in case somebody says, "Oh, wait a minute, like what are you claiming here? Like you're just like so super monk mode?" No, 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 no. I'm human, and I'm not gonna lie. So I'll say that. But in me gaining some motherfucking control over that whole thing, my focus has been the highest ever. And so maybe that extra information helps you, or maybe that just kind of weirds some of you out. I don't. It's not the intention, I swear. It's not the intention. It's just, aside from the focus, part of the reason that I brought up this much more a little bit uncomfortable thing is that when I would do it, all right, I would find myself right here on that part right here. Hey, which causes the binge? Do you struggle this with it? Do you struggle with this at all in the past? I eat a ton after. By the time I got to, hey, this is the one habit that's still kind of doing something similar to me as if it was, alcohol or like eating more ice cream or, the things that would kind of elicit certain behavior like chains and stuff. Every time I quote play with it, I would feel an extra temptation to just eat more. I think this ultimately boils down to that reward system just going haywire. It's like, hey, boom, we're feeling pretty good right now, and then once it starts to calm down, it's almost like it's trying to get you to do it again and 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 again. And I basically found that the more I can just kind of tame that down by means of saying no to things, even if it looks from the outside that I'm not, quote, living life, I'm okay with it because I'm elevating. And if the elevation is rewarding, it's rewarding enough that by the time I start to like, I don't know, how do I say this? Maybe desensitize a bit from like the old way I would reward myself to like this new way where like I feel a sense of reward from doing the harder things. This feels, number one, way more sustainable. And two, it's nice to get a sense of reward without a sense of shame. Period. You can't beat that. A sense of reward without the shame. That's nice. Hella nice. So that's all I got for now. And that's all I got for now. And I'm gonna be breaking the fast sometime tomorrow. And that's it. So hopefully that helps, man. So that's it.